Object 292 is one of the most intriguing and mysterious experimental tanks ever developed by the Soviet Union. Unlike many other prototype vehicles, Object 292 was a bold attempt to massively increase the firepower of Russian armored forces by introducing a powerful 152mm smoothbore cannon on a modified T-80 chassis. The idea behind Object 292 was simple but ambitious: create a tank that could decisively defeat any NATO main battle tank with a single shot. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Soviet designers were well aware that Western tanks like the M1 Abrams and Leopard 2 were becoming increasingly well-armored. The 125mm guns used on Soviet tanks, while effective, might eventually fall behind. To solve this, engineers at the VNII Transmish Design Bureau began experimenting with fitting a new 152.4mm 2A83 smoothbore cannon onto an existing tank platform. This weapon promised incredible armor penetration and destructive force, more than enough to defeat any armored threat on the battlefield at the time. The vehicle that became Object 292 used the chassis of the T-80BV, but the turret was heavily modified to accommodate the massive new gun. This wasn't just a scaled-up version of an existing turret, it had to be redesigned to manage the recoil, weight, and ammunition size associated with the powerful 152mm rounds. Firing trials demonstrated that the 152mm gun was indeed far more powerful than anything else in the Soviet arsenal. It could destroy modern Western tanks from long range with a single shot, offering a tremendous leap in firepower. The gun also had the potential to fire a wider range of munitions, including high explosive and advanced kinetic rounds. However, the larger caliber came with serious trade-offs. The 152mm rounds were significantly heavier and bulkier than 125mm ammunition, which limited how many could be carried on board. Reloading was slower and more complicated, even with an autoloader, and the overall internal layout of the tank became more cramped. Mobility was another concern. While Object 292 retained the powerful gas turbine engine of the T-80, the added weight of the gun and turret affected handling and balance. The chassis could manage it, but only just. Future development would likely have required an upgraded suspension and improved weight distribution. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of many promising military projects, and Object 292 was no exception. Although it successfully fired its massive gun and proved the concept was viable, funding and political will dried up, and the project was shelved. Only a single prototype of Object 292 was built. This lone tank still stands as a testament to Soviet ingenuity and willingness to push the limits of tank design. It remains an example of what might have been a game-changing weapon had it been developed just a few years earlier or under different circumstances. Interestingly, many modern tank programs, including Russia's T-14 Armata, have explored the possibility of upgunning to a 152mm cannon, and Object 292 is often cited as the spiritual predecessor to those efforts. The lessons learned from it continue to influence Russian armored doctrine and design thinking today. Object 292 was not intended to be mass-produced at the time but was seen more as an experimental leap, a tank that could inspire a new generation of heavy hitters for the battlefield. Its success in test shows that the 152mm gun concept is more than theoretical, it was proven in metal and fire. There's also an aura of mystery surrounding Object 292, as much of the information about the project remained classified for years. Only recently have details and photos become available, fueling the interest of military historians, model builders, and tank enthusiasts around the world. From a technological standpoint, the gun itself was ahead of its time. The recoil management system and autoloader were considered innovative, though imperfect. It was clear that if such a tank were to enter service, extensive changes to logistics and support systems would be needed. Despite its failure to reach the battlefield, Object 292 showed that tank evolution could go beyond just improving armor or sensors, that raw firepower could once again shift the balance. In a time of precision missiles and drones, the idea of a tank with overwhelming kinetic force still has relevance. The tank world continues to debate whether the future lies in heavier calibers or in smarter, more versatile platforms. But Object 292 will always remain an icon of what if, a glimpse into a future that almost was, where tanks could level anything in their path with a single devastating shot. As armored warfare evolves, the spirit of Object 292 lives on, in discussions of next-generation tanks, in experimental platforms, and in the imagination of those who study the giants of steel that shape the battlefield. Thanks for watching.